Last time you saw us, we were visiting Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, and the Smoky Mountains. This week, we head to Nashville to experience the country music capital of the world. With so much to do here, we stuck to the city and did as much as we could, visiting 5 different areas and experiencing 19 different things. The Blue Ridge Mountain encompasses the eastern part of the state, while Nashville is located in Middle Tennessee, one of the 3 Grand Divisions. The first night we made it to our Harvest Host location. A photo venue, South 40 Farm, is just south of Nashville in the town of Franklin. With a beautiful location and an extra friendly host, it was a nice place to spend the night. Commonly referred to as the Music City, Nashville is more than just country music. It's also more than bars, or as the locals call them, honky tonks. So don't worry if you're not into country music or bars. Nashville is a picturesque city filled with its own unique architecture, art, and history. We started on the west side at Centennial Park. This 132-acre park was the site of the 1897 Tennessee Centennial Exposition. Several elaborate structures were made to serve 1.8 million visitors. After the exposition closed, it became a public park, and the replica of the Parthenon was preserved to become Nashville's art museum. Marathon Village is a number of buildings that once housed Marathon Motor Works. It was the first factory to totally manufacture automobiles in the U.S. until General Motors made the first Saturn in 1990. Each building preserves a historical significance and houses unique shops that are fun to look around. When you're there, take advantage of the free museum that shows the unique cars manufactured there. Who doesn't love a farmer's market? Since hot chicken is a thing here, the Hubs gave it a try. You can choose the heat you want. The Hubs comments? Yeah, it was hot. There's a lot to do in this area. Right next to the farmers market is a Bicentennial Capitol Mall. Walking the 11-acre park gives you a variety of displays on Tennessee's history, beautifully designed planters of native plants, and a 95-bell carillon. If you think you'll enjoy the history of the Bicentennial Park, you'll love the Free Tennessee State Museum. I wasn't expecting to be impressed, but I was. Maybe it's the teacher in me. I still daydream about taking students to the places we visit. The museum has both permanent and temporary exhibits. It does a fantastic job taking you through U.S. history, intertwining Tennessee's role in this great nation. Don't skip it if you like history. You can spend a lot of time here.
They invented bows and arrows for plantations in advance. They created elaborate.
The Death Angel was there to gather its last harvest. The twilight of evening had begun to gather as a precursor of the coming blackness of midnight darkness that was to envelop a scene so sickening and horrible that it's impossible for me to describe. Forward, men, is repeated all along. A sheet of fire.
The historic Greek Revival building was completed in 1859. It's only one of 12 state capitals that doesn't have a dome. Our 11th president, James K. Polk, is buried here. You can take a self-guided tour or sign up for a guided tour. Continuing our Nashville tour, we made our way to the historic Union Station. This former train station, now hotel, was established in 1900. The grand architecture elements take you back to a Gilded Age. The station was one of the busiest stations in America. It was worth a look-see. Nashville's Pedestrian Bridge was closed to automobile traffic in 1998 and was restored for pedestrian use. It's on the National Register of Historic Places and gives you a great view of the city. We're getting close to what makes Nashville famous, so I'm going to need some sugar. Invented in 1912 in Nashville, Goo Goo Clusters was the first candy bar in the U.S. to combine multiple ingredients and mass-produced for retail. For a pretty penny, you can create your own concoction and watch it being made. Honky Tonks are not my thing. But it's like my nephew says, you got to go just to say you've been there. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon and already very crowded. I can't imagine what it would be like at night. A little more my speed are the atriums at Gaylord Opryland Resort. We parked at Opry Mills Shopping Mall across the street and walked over. Staying there is pretty pricey, but walking around the atriums is free. This isn't just one little atrium. The glass-covered gardens span 9 acres. You also find shops and restaurants there. It was a peaceful experience that just kept going. What a treat. Cooter's Museum and Store is dedicated to the memory of the beloved show Dukes of Hazzard. The museum and shops are owned by Ben Jones, the man who played Cooter in the series. There are props, costumes, and memorabilia from the show. Cooter's tow truck, Daisy's Jeep, Roscoe's patrol car, and of course, the famous 1969 Dodge Charger are there. All over the city, you'll find signs that tell you that it's a live music venue. We walked a few doors down from the museum to the historic Nashville Palace for our dose of song. Because it was close to the Grand Ole Opry, stars would stop in after their slot for something a little bit more low-key. Nashville's strategic location on the Cumberland River, as well as a transportation infrastructure, made the city a valuable asset to both the Union and Confederate armies. Fort Negley became the largest inland stone fortification built during the Civil War.
residents fearfully awaited the arrival of Buell's army for the next 10 days. On February 25th, Buell arrived and took the city without firing a shot. Nashville became the first captured Confederate capital. Johnson felt that Buell's maneuvering of troops in and out of Nashville left the city vulnerable to Confederate attack. That summer, Johnson successfully petitioned President Lincoln to fortify Nashville. With Lincoln's approval, that task became Johnson's obsession. The rise became the home of Fort Negley, the largest of Nashville's fortifications.
The architecture of Belmont Mansion makes it one of the most significant homes of the 19th century Tennessee. Sold by the Ackland family in 1887, the house was sold to a developer who began one of Nashville's early suburbs. It was then purchased by two women in 1890 who started a college which evolved into Belmont University. In the campus library next to the mansion is a gallery of iconic guitars. The late Stephen Kernshaw invested much of his inheritance for the purpose of acquiring historically significant guitars and mandolins. It costs $5 to get in. When looking at options of things to do, the Hubs thought this museum might be interesting. He was right, and I'm not even into cars. The museum buys and restores unique cars and motorcycles. 150 are displayed at a time with their vast collection numbering in the hundreds. It's home to the largest European automotive collection. It's filled with many one-of-a-kind vehicles. This urban development with shops and eateries is another area of Nashville that some might find interesting. We checked it out and had a nice lunch there. Of course, there's always numerous country music museums and venues to go to, and between 4,000 and 5,000 bachelorette groups visit each month. But I was surprised to find that Nashville is so much more. Join us next time as we move across Missouri and talk about how we've settled into a comfortable pace for traveling the U.S. in an RV.
Why are pupils the last thing on your body to stop working when you die? Because they dilate.